Whenever called and asked me to speak, a verse came to my mind, and it's Genesis 50:20, and it said, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, to accomplish that which is being done today, the saving of many lives." You know, I love that, y'all. And then another verse is Romans 5:8, and he said he loved us at our darkest. You know, you guys been in addiction? It's the darkest. We've been to the dark. And I see people here, we've lied to each other, we've stolen from each other, we've physically harmed each other. And I call it that verse, Genesis 50:20. Satan tried to hurt us through each other. But God's turned it into His glory. Look at all of us, you know? We sit here and love each other, and we're rooting each other on, you know. Like I said, I'm living in Aniston now. But at Sherry Freeman, don't think I don't watch everything you post, sister. And root you on. That's only what God can do, right? That's only what God can do. So, that song they just played, y'all, I want to tell you a little bit about it. So 4 years ago, I was sitting in a rest area in Fort Oakville, Georgia, fixed to commit suicide. The devil had me convinced that I had nothing left to live for. Thought I was always going to be a drug addict. He made me think that I had messed up my life beyond repair. He made me think that I had lost everything and everyone that ever loved me, that I ever loved. And as I sat there in my car crying my eyes out, I hollered out loud at God, "I love you, Taylor." My daughter's here, y'all. And my daddy. And my Uncle Raymond, these people prayed for me for 27 years. 27 years. My family prayed for me. My dad and me, we didn't speak for 10 years. And I thought he didn't love me. And he said, "I love you, Shannon. I didn't love the drugs." You know? And I love the fact that my family's here with me today. It means everything in the world to me. So anyway, that day I was sitting here in my car and I hollered out loud at God. I said, "Do something. Say something to stop me." And thank you. And so I turned my radio station, I turned my radio on, and it came on J103, the Christian radio station in Chattanooga. And I had been listening to J103. This is how good our God is. So I turned my radio on, and that came on, and that song came on. And the part that says, "Yesterday is the closing door. You don't live there anymore. Say goodbye to where you've been and tell your heart to be again." That was God saying to me, "Shannon, I don't care about what all you've done. That shame and that guilt that you've been carrying all these years isn't yours to carry. The stripes on my back covered all those." And my favorite part is that let every heartbreak and every scar be a picture that reminds you who's carried you this far. Because love sees farther than we ever could. At this moment, heaven's working everything for your good. You see, God sees things differently than we do. He sees the end from the beginning.
Amen.
And when I thought I had nothing left to live for, that bad choice after bad choice after bad choice had caused me and the ones I love too many heartbreaks and scars to heal. That's what had to happen to the life and the mess that I made. So that way God could start picking up the pieces and put my life back together the way He had planned all along. And so I'm so thankful to be here today. I wish I could say I got clean then, but I didn't. But that's where God started. It was a starting point there. And so since then, like I said, I went back to jail again. I think it was my 18th time. So many times in DeKalb County Jail. Gotta get, y'all know, man, ain't no place to be. I kept wondering why God kept putting me in jail, and that was the only time I'd ever pray or read my Bible, was when I went to jail. I wondered why God kept putting me there, And then I'd see people on the mountain that they ain't never been arrested, slinging it out both pants legs up there, and you'd be like, "Oh, man, never in no trouble." But God don't. discipline people that he only disciplines his children.
Amen.
That's right. And so he was trying, every time I seen now that he put me in jail, he was trying to sit me down to give me one more shot. One more shot. One more shot. But with me, it was a little different. Getting high for me wasn't fun for a long time. It was to cover up pain, regrets, and resentments, which is crazy because it just caused more pain, more regrets, and more resentments. But that's why I kept getting high. Best thing I ever done, I've been to rehab several times, but this time it was different. I surrendered this time. Finally surrendered. I said, God, I can't do it. You can. And you got to do it because I can't. You got to help me. And I laid everything at the foot of the cross. And I tell you what, one of the best things I've ever done, me personally, was working the 12 steps of Celebrate Recovery. Or I don't know if y'all have NA here where we went, but working those 12 steps. That was the best thing I've ever done in my life. Getting a sponsor, somebody that I trust, and I told this lady things that I had never told anybody. Things that I thought would shock her out, but it didn't. She just listened to me, and I didn't have to carry that stuff anymore. That pain and everything that I'd been carrying, and that shame, just write it down. She would make me write it down, and then I would share it with her, and it was just amazing how it just released it off of me, and I didn't have to carry it. So for my step 3, when I was there, which was my favorite step, was to consciously choose to commit all of your life and your will to Christ's care and control. And I knew in order to really turn our life and our will over to God that I'd have to get rid of all those familiar things that I've been living for so long, like shame, guilt, worry, fear, pride. If you're really going to turn your whole life over to God, you've got to give all those things to Him. And that's hard to do. So for my step 3, my sponsor, she asked me to write a letter to God and tell Him how I felt about my life, the things that I wanted from Him, and the things that I was afraid of. And I'm telling y'all, I wrote this letter almost 2 years ago, I think, and I'm blown away by how much God has already answered almost every single thing I wrote in this letter and asked Him for. So if y'all don't care, it's really personal to me. It's got a lot of painful things in it for me. But let me tell y'all real quick, though, when I was in rehab, so funny though, they made me work at McDonald's for a whole year, okay? Everybody needs to work fast food at least one time in their life because it's absolutely horrible. I was 53 years old, working with 16, 17-year-olds who didn't want to work. And people are miserable nowadays, man, really. So I decided, since I was in the window taking money, which is crazy because I've been arrested so many times for counterfeiting and theft and everything else, but I didn't take on one dime for McDonald's, I'll tell y'all that. But I might take a French fry or two. Got trouble for that one time. I used that and being in that window to just be nice to people. I would tell every car that came through to have a blessed day. And they would say, oh, you have a blessed day too. And it would just pour the blessings back upon me, And I did it. And so after I wrote this letter that I'm going to share with y'all, man, have you ever wrote something and you think, oh my gosh, man, did I write that? I mean, it's anointed. It's definitely anointed. And so I loved it so much that I would sneak in my boss's office and I would make copies and I'd hand it out the window to people at the drive-thru. Okay. My brother Michael Champion, he's here. He's one of the customers that I handed my letter out to almost 2 years ago. And we've been friends ever since. And he roots me on every time I speak somewhere. And so we serve a good and mighty God. That's how He works. He's a grand weaver. He puts people in our lives. And we lift each other up. And that's what it's all about. So I'm going to read this letter to y'all, okay? And then I'll let y'all do your thing. God, so many times I have given you my life just to take it back and forget all about you. Please forgive me. You saved me at 12 years old on the curb in front of my house. A 14-year-old girl named Debbie Bible lived across the street, and she led me to you. I will never forget the feeling of real love and acceptance for the first time. I remember going on mission trips with my youth group and doing the clown and puppet ministry for the kids and how much I loved it. I remember seeing my mother and my brother getting saved, and years later, in lots of prayers, seeing my dad get saved. I also remember where I started to lose my way and where Satan suddenly started to lead me away from God. I started going to the bars and hanging out with the wrong friends and the drugs that came with those friends and environments. I can even look back now and see where Satan lavished me with lots of money and endless supply of drugs to make sure he had a good grip on me. I believe he knew that you were especially fond of me, Lord, and the impact on other people's lives that I would have had if I would have remained living for you. I see now that doing what only a good father does, the first time I ever got in trouble, you giving me the chance to go to Teen Challenge and come back to the life that I love so much. But I chose my way instead of your way. How different my life would have been today. So many years of sin and bondage, pain and misery, heartaches and scars without you. How many times have you saved my life? 3 times from the hands of others. From my own hands 4 times if I can count. In those times of desperation and despair, I cried out to you, and I reached for you, and I literally felt you holding my hand. In John 3:16, you tell me how your Son, Jesus Christ, died on a cross for my sins. And I know that it's only through him dying on that cross and covering me in my sins all these years that you were able to even look upon me. And for that, I am forever grateful. You blessed me with 3 of the most beautiful girls and amazing women that they are, even though I wasn't a good mother. And I didn't know how to love my kids the way I was supposed to. There's no way I would give up not one of their lives for anyone good. More or less a drug addict, a thief, an adulterer, due to an abortion I had 42 years ago, a murderer like me. In Isaiah 61:3, you said you make beauty from ashes. Well, with my life, Lord, you have it to do. But I cling to that, and I claim that promise. Like the children of Israel, who was ready to step into the promised land and all the good things that they could have had, but instead chose to walk around in the wilderness for 40 years. I too have been afraid. It's been 40 years since you saved me. I thought I've been listening to all the lies of the devil, but no more. I've asked you every day to help me surrender my life to you, and I will continue to ask this every day for the remainder of my life. I ask you to help me change all my character defects, to help me get rid of these hurts, habits, and hang-ups that I've carried around for all these years that kept me in addiction. And I'll continue to ask you to help me with those for the rest of my life. You see my heart, Lord. You know I'm seeking you in everything that I do every day. And I know I'm in your will, but I'm scared of failing because I know that Satan doesn't want to let me go and that he's going to come at me every way he can. But in Revelations 12:11, you said that I can overcome Satan by the blood of the Lamb and the word of my testimony. Amen. So that's why I'm here tonight. And I'm going to keep giving my testimony. Every time God opens the door. So I'm asking you, Lord, to change me enough and let me grow so strong in your word and our relationship that I never have to fall again. I want you to open up doors for me to be able to share my story and my life and my testimony to hundreds of thousands of people. I want the pain that I've caused my kids, my dad, and my brother to be replaced with love and forgiveness. I'm asking you to be so real in their lives for what you've done for me. They too can give testimony and be blessed beyond measure. I want to get married to a godly man that loves me, that loves you first, that's going to be faithful to me, truly love and adore me, that can share his hurts, habits, and hang-ups and what God's done in his life and others. I want the opportunity to be a great mother to my girls and make up for all the years that I wasn't there for them. And the absolute best grandmother that ever lived one day, if I ever can have any grandkids. I want back 7 times what I've allowed Satan to take from me, and the years of my life to be many, because in Proverbs 4:10, that's what you promised me. I want forgiveness from my earthly father for hurting me as a child. And I want forgiveness from him for the shame and the disappointment that I've caused him all these years. Let me be a light to my sisters, my friends, and show them a love and a life they've never known, and help me lead them to you. God, please use this outgoing, huge heart, never meet a stranger, girl that you created, to show others how great you are and that there's nothing impossible with God. From this day forward, let me walk in victory over Satan, never being that sheep that goes astray again. And thank you again, Lord, for loving me, saving me, and dying for me when I gave you absolutely no reason to. Your beloved daughter, Shannon.